So one is the threat that India ultimately becomes like the largest exporter of software services in the world. Yet India has not been able to, again coming to today, India has not been able to produce a lot of globally relevant technology companies. Any thoughts on why that could be?
I think that's a fantastic question, because India clearly has the talent, right? Like you see the tech workers in Silicon Valley, they're from India, right? The CEO of the top company, the Sundar Pichai, the Satya Nadellas, the Shantanu, the Adobe guys, the IBM CEO, the Palo Alto Network CEO, they're all Indians, right? Like they're all like, they're clearly not just coders, innovators, they're doing a lot of the patenting. So like, for instance, Indians are less than 1% of the US population, but 14% of patents in the US, right? So they're like on the innovation landscape, they're outliers, right? So why is it that they're not doing this in India, right? And essentially the big hypothesis here is that institutions are just very different, right? There's something special about being in Silicon Valley, right? And that's part of it is the risk capital that exists there. So the deep the US has deep financial markets, not like India is trying to fix it, the changing bankruptcy laws, but the US has deep financial markets. What venture capitalists in the US do is they bet on hundreds of companies, right? 90% of them fail. One of them becomes a unicorn and covers all your other bets, right? So that kind of ecosystem allows kind of a lot of kind of innovation, a lot of startup growth, and so on and so forth, right? It has that. It manages to attract the best talent from around the world, right? And there's a kind of an exchange of ideas that happens. There's a full infrastructure built. There's a customer base that's been built. People know when I want new products, where should I go? I should go to Silicon Valley and so on and so forth. So people keep talking about, oh, Silicon Valley is dying. But then when you have the AI boom, where is it going to be? It's in Silicon Valley. It's like every boom you get ends up being in Silicon Valley. There's something special about being there, right? In India, you have the institutional roadblocks in some ways that prevent that same talent, the same kind of, you don't have Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella in India creating, and part of it is related to a lot of these institutional roadblocks. The risk capital is trying. I think there's a lot of great VCs, but they're fighting against kind of a lot of the setup that kind of doesn't really exist, right? So I think that's kind of the frustration in some ways, right? Like India clearly has the talent. They're really good at doing a lot of this coding, a lot of the innovation. They're hardworking, right? Some of the most hardworking kind of tech workers you'll see, but the startups are kind of fighting institutional roadblocks that prevent them from growing and becoming kind of relevant in that way, I think so.